Well, we're here today. We've had a lot of people asking us to do a Jacqueline DeYounga paper piecing class. And so we are going to video that today for you. There'll be a couple different sessions of this. And so today what we're going to do is really do more talking and some in preparation before we would even start sewing on the machine. So this is what we're going to be working on. This is called Picnic and Lemonade. This is 4 placemats, and out of each color, there's 2 colorways in this kit. You have the one that I finished is right here. This is one of the placemats. So it's the orange and greens, the bright lemonade-y kind of colors. And then you have one that is, she's using all of her Be Beautiful color line in the 2.5-inch strips and then with the black. So it would be those colors on the black, which are beautiful. If you look here, you can see them right here. Then there's also, so the black and the colored one here has 4 placemats and a large table runner. The lemonade, which is this one here, has 4 placemats and a table runner with that too. So there's a lot of fun work to do. This is not a hard project, and we chose this for you because this is going to be kind of a prerequisite to the Be Happy, the happiness, I think 2.0 is what the name of that is. We had done a class in that a while back when at the old store, and I've had a lot of requests to do that class again. So this is kind of getting your feet wet into paper piecing. It is not hard, and please don't be afraid to try this. It is a lot of fun. I have done multiple of the samples here that are the Jacqueline DeYounga patterns, and they have just been a joy to work with. I also did, at one time, I did a double wedding ring that I had paper pieced, and I actually used her method in doing it. So just come on in and join us, and we're going to do a lot of talking today and walking you through the preparation. So let's start with that. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to decide, of course, which ones you want to start with. This is the lemonade, and it's summer, so I started with the lemonade. You're going to have, there's 3 colors in this one. And so you've got your yellow, your green, and then your backgrounds. The background of this is the same. And then I just kind of quilted it, straight line quilting, and then bound it. So very simple to do, very fun to do. So one of the things that you're going to do is what we're going to talk about a lot right now is Jacqueline's, her directions tend to be, they can be confusing a little bit at first. And when you realize, though, that I think she is from Holland, and so some of her terminology might be a little bit different than ours. But what I really suggest is that you get out the instruction book and you follow and read this through before you even start. She has all kinds of general points on the front, and then as you go into it, she will tell you different things that you need to be doing. So, and she goes step by step, and if you follow hers step by step, you will be fine. So on the lemonade one, and also on the picnic, it'll tell you on here, picnic, it says picnic, cutting instructions of the 24 rainbow fabrics, which would be this. So she's giving you all the instructions for that. And then if you look down, she will also be giving you instructions for the cutting the lemonade, which is this one. So this is what I started with. And what she's telling you on this one, and this up here is for the rainbow. And so she's telling you basically how to lay out the rainbow strips so that you get them in the proper order. And that's what this chart here is about, is lining up your fabrics so that they're all in the proper order so that you can just go from piece to piece as you're putting this together, and they would be all in the right order. Now, on the lemonade, which is down here, what you're going to do is you're going to have, you're going to cut your fabrics, which are the green and the yellow, and you're going to cut them into 2.5 inch strips, which is basically what I have got. I didn't cut up all the green to show you. So I have cut all of this into 2.5 inch strips. Then she tells you to take those strips and you're going to cut them into 2.5 by 4 inch rectangles. So this is what you're going to have. And this is what you're going to have, a stack of these, and that's what's going to go to your sewing machine with you. And you're going to be working with those. So I'm just going to kind of show you what I did when I was cutting these. Another thing is that she oversizes her cutting, because when you do one, you're going to get 2 placemats out of one square. So this is, if you look at this is just half diagonally of the 4 by 2.5, and so you'll be using this on a second placemat. So then I just kind of line up my pieces, and I'll just lay them out and have them together. And then I'll take my ruler, and I will, of course, I'm going to cut off the selvage. And then I am going to go ahead and I'm going to cut my 4 inch, because I already have my 2.5. Now I'm going to cut them at 4 inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And if it's not perfect, it's okay, because this is just a rough cut. So I just kind of go through and I'm going to cut, lining it up, making sure that it's on the straight. And I'm going to go through and cut the whole thing. Now I'm going to go this way, I think. You have to excuse me. I do both hands. And I can just keep cutting like this until I have all of my strips cut into the 2.5 by 4. So we'll do a couple more here, one more cut, I think. All right, so there we would have all the piles of pre-cut fabric. The thing that's wonderful about Jacqueline is that she pre-cuts everything, and she oversizes it just a little so that you don't have to worry about it. So then if you look at she's telling you that you're cutting 4 strips at 2.5 by 4, and then you're going to cut those into 40 pieces, which will make the 80 that you need, because when you cut 40 of these, but because you're using half of it each time, then you have 40 more to do another one. Okay? So then we're going to go on from there, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do that with the yellow. You're going to do the same thing with the green. And she tells that all in this. This is why I say read these instructions first and really get in your head kind of what she's asking you to do. Then you're going to go over, and now she's going to tell you how to sew these pieces together. And so what I'm going to show you is the foundation, paper foundations will look like this. And you will have 4 of these for the lemonade, and you will have 4 of these for the picnic placemats. This is for the placemats. Now I have done, and I've left this one so that at the next video I'm going to show you how to sew these on. But here is, these are ones that I have already sewn on, are these. The 2 of these, this is the front, this is the back. The papers, we're going to trim these all when we get down to that point. We're going to trim this around, and there, if you look at this real close, you can see your 1/4 inch. There's your 1/4. This would be your cutting line, and then there is your 1/4 inch seam, that line. So we will end up trimming these. This is another one that I did, and that is exactly what this is right here. These go in and become this. So we're going to be doing that. I do want to show you that on this, in your pattern pieces, this is for, this is going to be for your, the table runner. And you're going to be adding pieces together for the table runner. So we have, this is for picnic, and then there'll be one in here for lemonade, which is right here. And I've cut them already. So this is the one that is, that I'm not doing the picnic right now. I'm working on the lemonade. This is all the pieces that I have pre-cut, and I've cut them apart so that you have pieces like this. And if you notice, there's a little bit of a extra on either side of the line. There's a little bit over here, and there's a little bit over here. You don't want a huge amount left in. And if you notice on the pattern that isn't cut, they don't even give you a lot of space. So you just kind of cut in between that. And then you will have your pieces. So then with this, let me see here. Okay, this is all the picnic ones. This is for the placemats. Here are, this is for the actual table runner. So that is what this is for the picnic, but I've cut the table runner ones for the table runner for the lemonade. So if you'll look on here, this says part C2. You're going to tape these together. I'm going to, there's part C3. Three, here is 5. And if you look at these, you can see that they're all different numbered. There's 80, 46 through 107 on this one. And this will all make sense as we start doing it. Okay, C1. C4, C3, and this is C6. So here's C1. This is C1. Now this is for the table runner, remember. So C1, and now I have C2. And you're going to tape these edges where it tells you in the pattern. Okay, there's B2. Trying to find B5. You're going to take this and you're going to take your seam line and you would just tape this on to each of the designated places. Just putting a piece of tape on there so that you will have this whole long piece of foundation paper. And then you'll end up rolling it up. And we'll get more to this as we go on. But you'll roll this all up like this and just keep sewing. And you'll start out and you'll be at 1 and you'll do all those. And then you can undo these easier as you go instead of leaving it all in one large strip so that it's easy to tear it. So I just pin it up. I just take a pin and pin this up as I fold it up. Okay? We'll get to this. But this is just how she places all of her things. So we are going to go and set this aside. But you want to go ahead and cut out. If you're going to do the lemonade first, then cut out all of your pieces for the lemonade that look like this. And it'll say lemonade on it, and it'll say part A1. The next one will say lemonade part A2. This one would have said part A3, I think it was, I probably used. And then this one. So you have 4 that are this size. And those are the ones that you're going to start out with at first. All right? So we can put all of this away. Now, the other thing that comes in your kit also is the stripe. Jacqueline de Jonge is, her signature thing is these different stripes that she uses in all of her quilts. And they just kind of add that little bit of zing to it. She also does a lot of sequencing on her quilts. They're beautiful when she's done. This is the backing in the front of the lemonade, and then the black is the backing in front of the picnic. All right? So there we are with that. So when you're, maybe I'll show you just kind of how to go about and cutting one of these apart. I just will lay it out on the board like this. I don't even use a ruler. I just kind of judge, and I will cut, because you don't want to leave a lot of excess paper on it, but you don't want to cut right on the line, on the cutting line either. So you want to leave just enough to allow yourself room. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm just kind of going right in between the pieces to separate them. When I did the double wedding ring and I paper pieced that whole thing, I didn't think I'd ever get done with that, but it ended up beautiful. I'd taken it to a long armor, and she quilted it, and it was just wonderful. And it was enjoyable. I mean, I liked doing it. So there's one of those pieces, and do you see how I cut out in between each of the pieces, and there's hardly anything left? Now I will cut, I can take off and trim off some of this, like that. And so you're gonna cut all of your pieces, your paper pieces apart just like this. Now, we'll put this away. Actually, let's just get rid of this. When the first time you do one of these, it'll probably seem very confusing. I had a girl that took, she actually did a whole quilt. It was the very first time. It was the first time that she ever paper pieced. And she was in the class, and I can remember her saying to me, "What have I jumped into?" But by the time she got outside of, you have to step out of the box with paper piecing, because it's just the opposite of what you're used to. And so once she allowed herself to step out of that box, she completed that quilt, and it hangs in her home right now. It's a beautiful quilt that she did. So give yourself room to be a little confused at first. It's okay, because it will eventually, you will get it. So that is the cutting of it. That is how you're going to go ahead, you're going to follow the directions, you're going to cut all of your strips like this, and that would be these two we haven't cut yet. So you'll cut all of them. And then as you go on further, the stripes are 1 inch. You're going to cut them 1 inch wide, the length of the fabric, the width. Okay. You are going to, when we get done with this, then I will give you the instructions for how much to cut on the top of this placemat and the bottom, and your back, and then we will be sewing with that. So those are the things that you're going to need. Is you're going to want a microtex needle, especially with batiks. I use always a microtex. 80-12 microtex works well. You're going to want a quarter inch ruler is what I like. A piece of cardboard or template plastic works nicely for when we start sewing this. Just your regular Aurifil thread works beautifully. That's fine too. and your just and a little cutting mat. I always have a small cutting mat right beside my sewing machine, and I have my rotary cutter. You definitely want to start with a fresh blade when you're cutting this and working with batiks and that. And I think as far as the preparation, I think we're okay there. You're going to make sure that you cut all of your squares, or your rectangles, I should say. Get them all cut and prepared and sitting there. If you are doing the 27 different colors, you're going to lay them out, and you're going to cut each strip into the 2.5. It's going to be 2.5 and by 4. And then you are going to lay them in piles so that you can take from each pile as you need to, okay? And we're going to, you would set that up just like if in the front of this, you would set up those piles in her as she has instructed. So like for fabric, the fabric for point 2. And what they're calling point 2 is, if you look at this on here, let me see where one is. Here it is. This is what she's calling point 2, is this triangle right here. Point 1 would be here. Point 3, point 4. Each one is numbered all the way across. So in her directions, she's saying point 2, which is right here, is going to be color 15. Point 1 would be color 1. And so you're going to line your pile, you're going to stack your pile of cut 2.5 by 4 inch strips, rectangles. You're going to line those colors up to her numbers corresponding the point. So she's gone all the way up to point 41, which is right here. Point 41 would be color 21. So you're just going to line all of you're going to have a whole stack in front of you, and you're going to line them up right along with these numbers here. Okay? We'll get a little bit more into that. As we're with this one, with the lemonade, we only have 2 colors. So I have 2 piles, and it doesn't matter. With this one, you're going to have 1 pile with all of the colors in this order. Okay? So if you have any questions, we'll get to that a little bit later. I can even show you, how to actually line them up. So with that, I think we have kind of covered everything that we need for preparation. Get that ready, and then join us as I start piecing and showing you how to piece this together. Okay? And with that, we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.